All right. Welcome to another episode of Deal Flow Friday. I'm your host, David Mogavam. Today we have Adam Rian, the founder and CEO of AKTUS AI. AKTUS AI is an incredible platform that we at Tryon are also using. They build custom AI solutions for real estate, private equity, any operators, workflows. They are an incredible team to work with, and Adam's been a pleasure to work with. So, Adam, it's great to have you.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having us.
I wish we were able to do it in person, but
Yes.
with scheduling conflicts, we're going to do it virtually.
Next time we will do it in person.
But I'm excited for the audience to hear a little bit about AKTUS because we've engaged with you guys. I think we've been working together for about a month or two.
Yeah.
Bruce Kirsch introduced us, who is one of the OGs of real estate with the models and the tools that he's built. And it's actually interesting seeing how things are evolving. So we'll get into that. But I wanted first for you to introduce yourself, introduce what AKTUS does, and we'll dive into it.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. So AKTUS is a startup in Silicon Valley, started 3 years ago, in order to build AI platform for financial companies, for heavily regulated industries, that the large language model by itself, which are mainly probabilistic, and we're going to discuss about what does it mean and what are the downside, what's the good things about it, what's not necessarily good things about it, and how AKTUS is going to solve those specific problems. So that's AKTUS started 3 years ago to help regulated industries, specifically finance and real estate, to use AI more effectively and actually finish the job, not just for conversation and answering questions. So AKTUS is a Latin word for action, which is we are helping our client to take action and finish the work, not just having a conversation back and forth with AI. My background is mainly in AI and machine learning for the past 15 years. I got my PhD in computer science and helping research on publishing paper, understanding the foundation of natural language processing. And in the past 10 years, I was working in different industries, smaller and big. But now AKTUS is so exciting that I feel like we are helping our clients in a way that we're going to engage more and more specifically on regulated industries and real estate.
So I know part of your background, you were a product lead for data and ML at Twitter,
yes,
right? And part of the founding team and CTO at Flowcode. How has it been now transitioning to AKTUS where you're kind of working B2B?
Yeah. So in my previous roles, it was AI, but not necessarily B2B. One of the things that AI is changing the B2B industry is making these B2B softwares more exciting, because historically, when you were building softwares and solutions for B2B, the people that they were signing a deal and they were buying your platform were different from the people that they were using the platform. Now, this is changing. The people who are purchasing the platform are going to be the people who are going to use the platform. So that's going to make B2B platforms more like B2C. They need to really solve the problem. And the people who are purchasing and the people who are going to make the decision, they're going to use it themselves. So my background on the B2C now helping me to shape the product in a way that B2B a business and the audience of the platform, they understand the value themselves, not just purchasing something for someone else to use it.
Right. So let's go a little bit deeper into it. I mean, you tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, but a majority, if not all your clients are either in the financial or real estate sector.
Yes.
So why choose this industry?
So there are a couple of reasons. First of all, AI, out of the box AI, cannot be helpful in this industry. So when you look at OpenAI and Claude out of the box, the way that they've built these systems, the way that they build this type of AI is based on the training of the data, which was available openly to the public through internet. So those type of large language models, they were able to read those data, understand it, and they perform action around those. But in heavily regulated industry, finance and real estate, most of the data are not public. And most of those decisions require some sort of a secret sauce, some sort of understanding, domain knowledge. And all of these domain knowledge is going to be super crucial to make the decision. And those things are not available. They were not available to the AI when AI were trained, and now it's not available to necessarily to the AI as well. So these type of custom solution is going to become more and more important for specifically real estate. And the other thing is real estate is multidisciplinary industry. It's not just finance. It's legal, it's architectural decisions sometimes, it's relationship based. And we believe these type of multidisciplinary industries, including real estate, they're gonna benefit from AI if we design it right for them. And that multidisciplinary nature of the real estate makes it complex for out-of-the-box AI solution to provide the just simple solution, simple platform. And at the same time, there are lots of people in this industry that they need help. So it was kind of, we got pulled into real estate because as soon as we published our platform, we received lots of inbound from real estate investors that they want to use it. And then as much as we are working with more and more real estate investors, we realized we can provide lots of help. So it was not from the design. We started AKTUS building AI platform for heavily regulated industry. And through our working with different clients, we got pulled into real estate.
Right. I mean, that's the nature of being an entrepreneur and being part of a startup culture is you're continuing to adapt. You're continuing to find your niche in the market. One thing about AKTUS that I appreciate, and I've talked about this several times on the pod, there is a moment with AI where you go from being just using AI to make everyday tasks more efficient to actually revolutionizing and redefining where you make your decision, data-driven decision making. I think with AKTUS, what's important, as you said, is it's a heavily regulated industry with the real estate. We all have our own proprietary data. To have Claude or one of these AI out-of-the-box solutions, as you mentioned, try to decipher through this type of data, it's not naturally positioned to process that data as well as maybe a custom AI solution to get deeper into coming up with investment theses, coming up with the right approach for a strategy. And so that's where AKTUS comes in, where they can actually tailor some AI solutions to a point solution for a problem that you may have.
Yes, exactly. And the way that we are framing this, both for our internal team and engineers to understand, and also for the customer, is these type of AIs are your digital teammates. You are not purchasing a new software or you are not purchasing a new application.
Right.
You're
building it.
You're building it. Yes. Yeah. And you are training this as you are working with it. So these type of solutions, if as you work with it more and more, they get more information based on the way that you are working with the system. And all of these AI, customized AI pipeline, they're going to use that output, the way that you give it feedback, and then they go back and retrain themselves. And we have to define the definition of training, and there are a couple of technical terminology regarding, are you training the large language model itself, or you are training the agent? We can get into this, but the point for the business is these systems are getting better and better. The same way that when you are hiring an analyst, at the first month, they're still trying to learn and they're trying to get better and better over time. But the way that from management perspective, you're going to be happy about your hire is you see the progress. If you see random performance, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. And then sometimes the performance of the financial model is not good, but sometimes it's good. That randomness, it's not good for the business, for the decision making. But even if at the beginning the performance is not good, but you see the progress, then it gives you the hope that, yes, at some point it will kind of make some decision. But that progress needs to happen. And in order for that progress to happen, we should be able to measure it. And we have to design that measurement together. How? Because that's different from one real estate investment firm to another real estate investment firm. They have to build their own specific metric, their own KPIs, and the AI solutions should follow those KPIs. And these are the way that we can make sure we are building the right solution together.
I'm sure you get irritated when you hear the term vibe coding and someone's like, oh, I could just vibe code this solution, or I can just use Claude to do it. Where do you draw the line between what can really just be vibe coded to where it's like you need someone like AKTUS to come in and solve that solution?
First of all, I love vibe coding as a prototype.
Right.
And vibe coding is a great way to communicate what people need. So before vibe coding, 2 years from now, when we were talking with a client, we need to sit down and have whiteboarding session and make sure we understand their workflow and actually what they need. And then based on those work sessions, we were designing something inside Figma, and then we were presenting those in front of the
What's
client.
Figma? Sorry.
Figma is a design system, is a system that you can design a software or design a solution, but without writing any code. So that was the thing that we were using before vibe coding. And then after a couple of days of working with this type of design software, then we were presenting something in front of the client, and the client would say, okay, yes, I like this or not. But now they can vibe code things themselves. And in a first session with a client, we can sit down and we realize, okay, this is what they really need because they vibe coded in this specific way. So vibe coding is very, very helpful to understand the requirements and to understand what type of product can solve their problem. But some people think it's like 80-20 rule that with vibe coding, you can get to 80% of the platform, but it's going to be very hard to finish that 20%. But I think we have to think about it from different perspective.
Sure.
So vibe coding is great for prototyping and requirement gathering and make sure we understand the pain and how that pain can get resolved. So vibe coding is 100% good for this one. But for actual production is 0% because we cannot use any code that happened inside vibe coding to the production code. We have to regenerate all of those codes.
And why is that? Why is it?
So because it's going to be very hard to maintain. These type of software, so lots of things are happening on the back end. If you want to push it into the production, we have to make sure we can maintain it. And there are going to be lots of edge cases happening when someone uses the platform. And in the AI, and specifically in real estate, those edge cases are most of the work is going to be around those edge cases. For example, when you are ingesting lots of leads, there are lots of things that we have to pay attention to those leads, like appendix, like amendment, like something changed or someone cross a number and add another number by hand. So all of those things, the platform should be able to ingest and clean the data and present it in the right way. And vibe coding is going to ignore all of those things. But at the same time, from engineering perspective, when we want to maintain a code, we should be able to understand it. And AIs, they tend to do lots of coding, even on a text. If you ask AI to write an essay, so it's going to do lots of tokens, lots of words, lots of like 200 pages. And we don't even have time to read all of those things. And sometimes you don't need those 200 pages. You just need maybe 2 pages to say what you want to say. The same things happen in vibe coding. When you vibe code something, and when we look at the source code, lots of those codes are unnecessary. And that creates future bugs. So we have to remove them. And in order to remove them, we have a process. So there is a harness engineering style of coding that we are using internally, and lots of startups they are using. And through that harness engineering, we are able to remove hallucination and make sure all of those AI generated code can be used in production. So that's the process. We sit down with the client, we see what they did in a vibe coding sessions on their own. Then we use that for the requirement gathering. Then it's going to be a process to learn from product perspective. We're going to learn from what has been vibe coded, and then we're going to build it from scratch in a production ready environment.
So I want to go back to the concept because I think it's important of how vibe coding can only get you so far with prototype, but the fact that you have to continually maintain it in order for it to be productive ends up being a detriment to your own productivity.
Exactly.
And so that's where AKTUS can come in. That's where enterprise software can come in and actually make something that you vibe coded into a real sustainable platform that you don't need to be a real estate guy that's part-time engineer anymore. Like I've fallen into that trap before where I've maybe vibe coded a solution and then I spend more time trying to maintain it to make sure it works instead of doing the actual production of what I'm trying to achieve.
Yes.
And so for those of you out there in our audience who feels like they're good with AI or strong with some of these out of the box solutions, I'm sure you've fallen into traps where like, why am I spending half my day trying to correct this to maybe be more efficient later, only to have the software, the code break on an edge case? So I think we're entering that phase where we're feeling the limits a bit on these out of the box AI solutions. And if we want to actually take AI to the next step in our own businesses, we need to maybe let go of the keys or let go of our own egos and see what's out there and almost level up with the code so that it's sustainable and can lead to real results.
And that's correct, David. And I'm really happy that you mentioned that. And we've seen lots of these products that they failed because of exact problem that you mentioned. It's give you lots of good feeling that I was able to achieve all of these things in just a weekend. But the real test is the productivity gain that you mentioned. If we want to get to that productivity gain, we have to design a system that can replicate your existing workflow. And we should be able to measure the success of that specific workflow. If we cannot measure it, we cannot improve it. And that's the crucial part. Measuring the success of this type of productivity tool is important. And that should happen from the design, not after the fact.
So going into measuring success, and we actually have been going back and forth with your team about what defines true success with the platform. Because, for instance, like, you know, we're doing a lead gen platform. We'll go into it a little more, but booking a meeting may be different than booking the right meeting, right? And so how do you guys approach defining customer success with your guys' product?
So that's a great question, and that's going to be through onboarding process. When we are talking with real estate firms, so there are a couple of important things that they are paying super attention to. One is when they do the deal screening, they don't want to waste their time on a deal that they should not spend any time on it. So they want to minimize the amount of time that they're spending on a not a good deal. And that can be solved with the right AI tool. Then we need to measure, like some people, they are so good and understanding, is it a good deal or not? Or should I go deeper? Should I ask for data room? Should I sign an NDA or not? Then without AI, it's just a couple of seconds for them. But some people, they need to spend maybe half an hour and do a little bit more analysis on that. So these are different from one person to another person, from one firm to another firm. And we want to make sure this new AI workflow respect what they are actually doing right now. Then at the same time, that one person, which is very, very good, their judgment is amazing on understanding is it a good deal or is it a bad deal, how we can translate that judgment into real AI workflow. When that specific person, they have an intern, what are the training mechanism between the senior person and a junior person? That training mechanism, we have to apply it into this type of AI workflow. Then we have to actually measure the time, how long it's going to take to successfully screen a deal or successfully underwrite a deal, and how long it's going to take to make sure we are writing down a right IC memo. So these times are very important. But the real metric is if that deal was really good or there is something was hidden that we didn't know about it. And sometimes AI makes mistake the same way that human does make mistakes. And since we are early on building this type of AIs, sometimes we have to wait and let's say a year from now or 2 years from now, go back and evaluate all of those decisions that AI made. And that's easier when you have digital teammate or AI workers compared to the human. Because when we have analysts, there are lots of things might change. People leave, you hire new people. Lots of institutional knowledge will leave the organization when people are leaving. But when you build this type of AI system, everything has been logged, and you can trace back every single decision to a specific judgment that AI has been trained based on. And because all of things has been logged, then we can go back 2 years ago and ask a question why we made this decision and what we learned from it. So all of those things we need to design it from scratch before start building this type of AI agent. So time to make a decision is one of them, but at the end, the quality of those decisions are important.
Right. And the only way to know the quality of those decisions is the reiterative process of going back to previous judgments, seeing what the outcomes are, and continuing that iteration.
Exactly. And how we can build a system that AI can learn from those iterations.
Right.
So these are the things that we have to build when we are thinking about a digital team.
Right. It's a new way of benchmarking, right? As you said, before AI, when a company would reflect ways for themselves to improve their own customer success from a human capability, there are so many variables changing. It could be a employer or employee that's coming in and out, or it could have been a bad employee or an outstanding employee that would sway whatever the metrics were. But now that everything is digitized and logged, you can use that information to continue refining and reinventing the way that maybe a workflow can be done.
Exactly. And one example is like financial models. So you mentioned Bruce Kirsch from our team. He's one of the top person building this type of financial model and teaching a financial model. And we are so fortunate to have him in our team. So we spend lots of time together in order to see how we can design an AI system that can evaluate financial models. What's a good financial model versus what's not optimum financial model, and how we can improve that. But what is a financial model at its core? It's an abstraction layer that's going to abstract all of these complexity that real estate had, and then abstract it to verifiable numbers that we can use those in order to make that decision. So someone has in a basic couple of, I think maybe 7 years ago or even more, they invented a discounted cash flow model. So that's something that a mathematician think through and invite in order to help people to make those decisions faster. So these are the abstraction layer that's going to help us to make those decisions faster. So number one thing for the AI workflow is make sure it understands all of those existing abstraction layer and work with them. When you have a financial model, which is pretty complex financial model, you have to make sure AI understands it and AI can work with it. Then at some point, you're expecting AI to give you hints and give you recommendation to improve your financial model. And that's the point that we are designing the system with the client for the AI to get enough feedback to provide a guidance to change the financial model. We are still not at the stage that let the AI to make those edits by itself.
Right.
We are at the stage that AI will give the recommendation and a senior analyst make those edits.
When do you think we'll ever get to that next stage, if ever?
I think we will get there in less than 5 years. And the reason I'm using that 5 years is we need enough data. We need enough, and this is not universal. Some firms, they might get there faster. Some firms, they might get there later. What the things that's going to determine how fast we can get there is the high quality data. So we need to give AI the chance to make a decision and learn from it. But humans should override those decisions right now. But we can do retrospectively and say, if we made that decision, what would have happened? And all of those things needs to get logged, because retrospective analysis is very important when you are using this type of AI. And then this type of retrospective analysis will provide more data for AI to learn. So when real estate firms, they start using this type of AI agent now, I believe less than 5 years, it will get to the point that it can make significantly good decisions.
Because there's enough runway to make retrospective analysis.
Exactly.
By having that window of a 5-year period.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting time where we almost give the keys to AI to make those decisions and almost trust AI more than we trust our own gut or feeling. And some will say we'll never get there. Some will say we'll get there soon. But I do agree that that window is a good benchmark for saying we'll have the data now where the retrospective analysis will become so strong and the iterative process will have occurred so many times.
Yes.
Just like you have a entry-level analyst who's been working at the company for a long time, you don't need to correct that analyst as much or ever when they do that task for the 100th time versus the first time.
Yes. I want to clarify something. Trusting AI more than trusting ourselves is a very broad term.
Right.
But if
it's a loaded term.
Yes. If we change the scope of those type of decisions, and then we can make decisions and this type of prediction better and faster, like in a financial modeling for real estate screening. So if we narrow down this scope, then it's going to be easier for us to look at the data and see what that decision means and how we can teach AI to make those type of decisions. I believe human will make decision much, much faster with these AI tools even now. And as we are building this type of system, then human will make other types of decisions that we still don't know what those decisions are, because our job descriptions are changing. Even inside our firm, when we are hiring a new person, their job description is different from 12 months ago. So
that's interesting.
And there will be some decisions that human is going to make in future that's going to be significantly better than AI, but we still don't know what those decisions are.
Yeah, it's almost like there's going to be decisions in the future that we're making that we can't even fathom making them today.
Exactly. And those require those abstraction layer.
Right. Could be algorithmic decisions. And just like 70 years ago, before Excel was born, decisions were made completely different than 70 years later, where we're deep into Excel models and we're making decisions on assumptions and growth projections that maybe in a few more years from now, we're going to be making decisions that don't exist today.
Exactly. Like the question is, can AI invent something better than Excel? Because we as a human, we invented Excel, which is an amazing tool. Now we have an AI, which we are training right now inside AKTUS, that can operate inside Excel, which is amazing. So AI that can operate inside Excel and do all of those calculations and help you make a decision. This is an amazing achievement. But the next level of achievement is AI invents something better than Excel, which hasn't happened yet, but it might happen in future.
Right. I want to get back to the practical use cases that AKTUS has been able to accomplish with their clients. Maybe give an example of one of the projects you guys have worked on that you enjoyed doing, but B, saw a tremendous amount of success that you've achieved for the client by doing so that they wouldn't have otherwise achieved if they didn't use you guys.
Yes, I can talk about a couple of examples. Most of them are around document operation in real estate and investment management. So in real estate, when you want to make a decision, there are thousands of the documents that needs to be read, understood, abstracted, extract some data from, and then make a decision. And those documents are large and huge. And not all of them are financial documents. Some of them are legal documents like zoning, zoning legal document, lease abstract, lease document, and also the financial documents. And right now, when you drag and drop all of those documents in out-of-the-box AI model, they will get hallucinate. The answer sometimes is right, sometimes is wrong, and we can talk about a technical limitation, which is around the context window that we can talk about it later.
We could bring it up maybe like just for the audience who doesn't know, like simple short answer, like why do they hallucinate?
So all of these AI, the same as our brain, they have a memory limit. If you give them more data that you can fit into their memory, they can start hallucinating. They call that a context window. What's the amount of data that you can give to AI, and what's the amount of data that AI can give back to you? So that's the context window. And
it's almost like if you're using one chat on Claude to do all your tasks, then it's just going to hallucinate or get it wrong. And
Exactly. Yeah. When you create a new session, you reset the context. So
right.
The more context means you have to pay more because you have to pay more token to AI providers. So both from performance perspective and cost perspective, we have to do context management. There is another part of this type of AI that although they are claiming their context window can be up to 1 million token, which kind of equivalents to the keywords, but only 10% of that a context window is effective.
That reminds me of the stat that your brain, you only use 10 or 20% of the capability or capacity of your brain.
That's similar. Yes, yeah. That's something similar. So when you are reading a novel, and then a week later, you don't remember everything. And most of the time, you forget things that happen at the middle. Most of the time, you remember at beginning of the novel and end of the novel. And interestingly, AI has the same type of behavior. When you give it lots of data, AI tends to forget things that it's at the middle of it.
The similarities between like the human brain and the way AI remembers things, it's incredible.
It's fascinating. Exactly. Yeah. It's fascinating. So now the same way that when we hire someone or when we are educating someone, we try to give them the right amount of data at the right time, not everything at once. The same techniques that we have to use for AI. And that's what AKTUS AI is doing with a client. So when we are onboarding a client, we make sure we build and customize a context engineering platform for their need to make sure AI sees data that they need to see and when they need to see. And sometimes it's very important to understand there's some part of the data that is better for you to hide from AI, because otherwise it will hallucinate. When you're talking about the finance, what part of the legal document that you have to show to the AI. So these type of things are make the AI system more robust. And one of the success project that we had in the past was related to real estate investment decision, which we ingest legal document like zoning, lease document, and a financial document, and thousands of those documents. So on a back end, we were able to build an engineering system that slice and dice data and make a decision. The AI, which in this example is large language models, LLM, like Claude or OpenAI, they see what data and when to see it, then they provide an answer. One of those input data to the system was a real estate financial model with 60 plus tabs, pretty complex, comprehensive underwriting model. That was another input to the system. So right now, if you upload a comprehensive financial model into the cloud or OpenAI, they hallucinate a lot. It's pretty complex to understand that financial model. We have to build an engineering system to break those problems in a smaller piece and make sure AI understand it, then test it to make sure AI pass those tests, then use it in the underwriting process. So that was a summary of one of the success projects that we had in the past.
Right. I think it's important understanding. You went deep into a context management where you can't just that's the slang word I've heard is one shot. You can't just one shot for one of these out of the box AIs to do everything for you. It's going to hallucinate. It's going to make errors. It feels like it has to answer. It's almost like, and it answers with confidence, right?
Yes.
And so it doesn't say, I'm not sure, but I think it's this answer. It answers in confidence because that's just the way it's been trained to. And that leads to a lot of errors. And that's where you guys can come in and point out the holes in AI and the fallacies and be able to optimize for it to be right and certain.
Exactly. So AI is an amazing tool. We need to use it in a right way. And that right way is this context engineering platform. And we call it, when you harness OpenAI, when you harness Claude, then it's going to solve those problems for you. There is no magic. There is no one-shot learning. It always requires back and forth. Human is not going to happen. For human, doesn't happen one shot. For AI, it's not going to happen one shot. And these type of decisions in investment is pretty complex.
Right.
We have to take our time and make sure AI get it and we test it before we give it the specific tasks.
Right. So one thing we're using with you guys is we're building a lead generation platform for sourcing third-party management. And sourcing can be for third-party management, can lead to acquisitions, loan sourcing. But the idea is that the way in which we're going about it is not your simple email saying, hey, are you looking for management? Here's try on living. It's something that's a little deeper. It's actually ranking the properties, whether it's close to our own portfolio that is performing well or other properties in different markets. And we're using as an anchor point to source and power rank the properties from, best to worst, having different approaches for all of them and being able to have AKTUS actually thoughtfully reach out to prospective clients and see where we can actually add value, not just do a spray and pray. And you can only imagine how trying to vibe code that is a disaster. You can maybe vibe code a component of it, maybe a type of deliverable, or maybe you can pull a certain contact, but to do it at scale is just a whole different project. And I think that's where for us, we saw so much value with you guys that trying to vibe code that would be a disaster, and having you guys on board has been great. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. And that's a great example of how digital teammates work. Let's say if you want to hire an analyst to do that task, then all of those things that you mentioned right now, you will let them know during the onboarding. or even during the interview, that these are the things should happen. We should not spray and pray. We have to customize it. These are the way that we have to do the search. So all of those things that you just mentioned, these are the learnings and guardrails for AI. Now we're gonna let AI to make some decision, to do the sorting, to draft an email. So as you know, we are not gonna let AI to send email yet. We're gonna let AI to draft the email. And the input to those drafts is all of those judgments and knowledge and all of those documents that needs to be ingested, and the AI should read them, understand them, the financial, the location, the zoning, and make sure that's the right prospect. And then based on all of those, write down a customized email like, hey, I know you are doing specific things. We are your neighbor in that specific area. We did all of those things. And all of these emails are going to be customized and changed based on the prospect. And we are not at the point that's going to let AI to send all of those things. The AI is going to just draft them and make sure someone like you is going to read them and review them. And then based on those feedback, you might say, okay, 90% of them are amazing. I'm going to hit send, but the 10%, the AI should go back and redo it.
Right. And I think it saves the time. So now when you're sending that email, let's say the person doesn't respond, deletes the email, which is happening all the time,
Yes.
rather than just leaving it at that. Now you have a little bit of uh, context of yourself, of who that owner is, where they've transacted. You can pick up the phone, you could call, you can leverage some of your own connections. So it saves so much time from doing the lead cracking and the email writing and the sourcing, to now you have that time and you can dedicate it towards finding the right relationship, talking to the right people, leveraging your own connections. And I think that's the next step for humans is, as you said, our decision making and our lives are going to look a lot different in the next couple of years to where it was just a few years before. We're going to be doing less of this type of robot AI work, and we're going to be doing more
Yes.
of this human leveraging work.
Yes, yeah. And some people might think, okay, we are building a new CRM. No, that's not the case. It's a digital teammate. It's like
Right.
someone who are going to execute those type of tasks under your guidance. Sometimes those tasks are evaluate this OM, run this financial model on that data room and give me the report. Sometimes the task is find these 20 prospects in this specific area. So these are the tasks that our AI system is going to help you to execute, not a new tool, not a new software, not a new application. And that's the difference that I want to make sure our audience understand. This is a new paradigm of executing tasks. And in near future, I believe these type of AI agents, they demand their own application. So all
Right.
of these applications that we had in the past, they've been designed for human to operate. Now we are building digital teammate together, and those digital teammate, they demand a specific types of tools, and those tools, we don't know what those tools are yet. We have to work together in order to understand those. And then maybe sometimes we have to go and purchase a specific tool for our AI agents.
Yeah, I mean, like one thing that for me that rings a bell is like API keys, right? Where a human wouldn't need an API for their own. They could just go onto the UI and look
Yes.
at the data. But I think for efficiency's sake, having the right API keys and integration, I think that's the next step. I was actually saying how some of the tools we use that don't use or share their API key, I think they're behind. They're going to end up getting lost in the sauce with what's going on. Where if you're leveraging AI, a tool that doesn't share their API or share their tools almost can become obsolete.
Exactly, exactly. So in future, we are going to have all of these digital teammates communicating with each other and working with each other. The people that embrace this type of new transaction will win the market. And we have to design the system, we have to design a software that embrace a communication between different AI agents.
Right. I want to wrap it up with a question that I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
what's one thing about AI and real estate that's overhyped and one thing that's maybe underhyped?
So I would say most of the new technologies are overhyped in short term and underhyped in long term. So if we use internet for short term, for that specific couple of years, it was overhyped, but long term, it was underhyped. So I believe uh, specifically for real estate, just drag and drop and one shot deal screening is overhyped. This is not something that people can rely on in a long term. Lots of people are talking about it, but I don't think it's gonna work in real world. Uh, but in long term, even that's gonna be underhyped. And by long term, I think we have to wait maybe 12 months, 12 to 24 months for a couple of those overhyped, like out of the box one shot that you mentioned, just one shot deal screening. So these type of things will go away, and customized solution for deal screening, AI powered customized solution for deal screening and asset management will replace those type of one shots. But overall, I believe AI, not just for real estate, as a whole, as a new technology, is overhyped in short term, is underhyped in long term.
Well said. I think I agree with that. And so it'll be interesting to see where things evolve. It'll be very interesting to see how AKTUS evolves over the next years and decades and in this cycle. What do you see next? I guess for AKTUS in these next 12 to 24 months as we go from overhype to underhype type of environment with AI.
We believe our customer will design their new org charts based on AKTUS digital teammates. So one of the things that AI will change the industry is the org chart itself. So why we have these specific org charts right now? Because of our education system. We went to school, we got architectural degree or finance degree or legal degree. And based on that, the whole enterprise has been designed around those specific skill sets that we learned through school. AI is changing the whole education industry, and multidisciplinary task is going to be more achievable in near future. And those multidisciplinaries is going to change the education system, is going to change the skill set of the people. And in near future, we have to rethink how we are designing our org chart. Do we need a marketing department separate from finance department, or those orgs will be around actions, will be around the task or job to be done, as opposed to a skill sets of human. Our vision, our roadmap for AKTUS is in near future is going to influence the org chart of enterprise, and they are going to use AKTUS digital teammate to do the operation.
That's a world where it's going to be completely different, right? Digital teammates having, um, basically AIs. I mean, I don't want to say replace because, as you said, I do think the human is going to just also evolve to what they're going to be doing.
Yes.
But it is replacing the jobs today. But I think it's also creating the jobs for tomorrow. So
Exactly.
it's going to be interesting to see how AKTUS plays a role in that. Adam, really great having you on. Loved how we got theoretical with AI and practical with AI in real estate. For those of you who couldn't tell, Adam is also Persian brother. So Adam, kheli khosh oumadid. Great having you on, and
Thank you.
looking forward to linking up soon in person and continuing working with the AKTUS team on our project.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, David, for having me.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.